It's all anyone's talking about. Arctic air is making its way to the Triad this Christmas. You're getting the gift of temperatures in the teens. We want to make sure that you are prepared. So we dig into what you can do to prepare your home, how to winterize your car, and how you can keep yourself warm in those frigid temps if you have to be outside. All right, first, what even is an Arctic cold front? WFMY News 2 meteorologist Christian Morgan explains.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We are headed for some big cold by the time we head into your Christmas weekend, and you've likely heard the term Arctic cold front at least some point over the last few days. So what does that really mean, and what does it mean for us here in the Piedmont Triad? Well, let's talk about temperatures first. Notice earlier this morning, temperatures were right around the freezing mark for us in North Carolina, but also earlier this morning to the north and west. Take a look at some of these temperature readings. -2 in Minneapolis, -5 in Rapid City, South Dakota. Even at one point this morning, I saw a -19 reading in Great Falls, Montana. So that's the Arctic air mass that we're talking about, and that cold front just really denotes the change in temperatures, or really the change in wind direction. And once a front slides by, our winds are going to change direction pretty rapidly. So here's Friday. We do have that strong cold front sliding by. There could be a little bit of moisture with it that could give us a few showers, and possibly on the backside, a few snowflakes as that cold air rushes in. It's going to move in fast. So Friday is going to be a windy day of weather, and those winds from the north and west will start to bring in all of that cold air. So temperatures are going to start to fall. Now, of course, this air mass will make progress across the rest of the country first before it reaches us, since it's moving west to east. But take a look at this. Temperatures will crash. By the time we get to your Christmas Eve morning, we're down to 15 degrees for the morning low. Then struggling to get to 30 by the afternoon, we'll be back in the same spot for your Christmas morning as well. Dipping back into the teens and struggling to get to freezing by Christmas Day in the afternoon.
Okay, we've got a day or so before that Arctic cold gets here, so now is the time to get your home prepared. David Gonzalez talked with a plumber who shares items that you should be grabbing at the hardware store to protect your pipes from the freezing temperatures.
It's that time of the year when Keith Carter with Village Plumbing sees a spike in work.
We're trying to find a way to keep money from leaving the household during the freeze.
As chilly weather invades the area, Carter says it's time to be proactive.
If anything has water to it, you need to protect it and be insulated some way, somehow.
He says homeowners should protect any pipe that's exposed to the elements.
You have a stick insulation with adhesive on the inside of it, and it sticks to itself. I use duct tape just to make sure it's secure to the pipe and doesn't come off.
He says it doesn't have to be cold for long periods of time for pipes to burst.
It can take one day, it can take 12 hours, it can take 6 hours, just a dead drop freeze. When it comes to freezing or winter, when winter comes, freezing comes. When freezing comes problem, the pipes burst.
Carter says some things around the house will also do the trick. He says doing nothing at all can cost you more in the long run.
I'd rather spend $5 on installation than $500 on a repair and up.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so that was the outside of your home. What about the inside of your home?
Before you head out the door,
if you do nothing else, do this.
Run a constant drip of hot and cold water at any faucet on an outside wall to prevent frozen pipes.
It doesn't need to be that, right? But just enough that it's just the smallest steady stream.
Plumber Jack Hope says the small trick might cost you a few extra dollars on your water bill, but it's nothing compared to damage caused when pipes burst.
We've seen people with horror stories.
A few other tips: disconnect your hose from your outside faucet, and if you have an old, drafty basement,
put a space heater down there, sometimes just like a big box fan blowing warm air around.
If you're using space heaters for that purpose or to keep warm, remember to practice good safety to prevent tragedy.
We want to make sure we keep them away from anything that might be combustible.
That could be anything from paper to wood to blankets.
Now, before you hit the road for any holiday travel, you want to make sure that your car is also ready for the extreme cold. Liliana Pearson talked with a mechanic and shares 3 things you should know.
Whether you're getting yourself ready or trying to teach a new driver in your family to think ahead.
Making sure that you take your time going, don't go too fast. You never know when there might be black ice.
There are a few things you can do to put yourself and your car in the best scenario to handle the cold.
It's a simple thing you can do.
Hector Revolorio is a mechanic at Adonde's Auto Service in South Charlotte. He says we should all check 3 things before Friday. First, check your tires. Cold weather causes your pressure to drop slightly.
It goes low, you can have a flat tire.
Tires should be between 30 and 35 psi. When they're low, even by a little, They're less resilient and could tear or be punctured. Next, check your battery. If you see any weird fluid or built-up rust, you can be heading towards disaster.
When your body starts leaking, they can get froze. So it's one of the things that can damage your alternator.
And a bad alternator or head gasket?
It's a big fix. It's a big fix. It can be expensive.
Finally, make sure you're up to date on oil changes and check that your antifreeze is all topped off.
It's one of the things you have to keep an eye on your cooling.
Well, while we're not expecting any winter weather besides the cold, the freezing temperatures are a good reminder for you to pack an emergency car kit. Now, we've got a list from AAA with items that your kit should include. Of course, a car charger for your cell phone, and make sure it is actually charged up, a blanket, a first aid kit, bottled water, some snacks. You'll also want to have an ice scraper and a flashlight with extra batteries and a traction aid, something like sand or salt or kitty litter, just in case that you get stuck. Now, if you decide to head outside in the cold, the National Wildlife Federation has 3 ways to help you stay warm. First, dress in layers, and if you get too warm, of course, you can always peel those layers off as you go. Second, try to stay dry because that base layer needs to be like a sweat wicking material, not cotton, and your outermost layer should be water and windproof. And third, pay special attention to your head, your neck, your hands, your feet. Your extremities give off the most heat. The Guilford County Animal Shelter wants you to remember, if it is too cold for you to be outside, it is too cold for your pets to be outside as well. The Humane Society and the ASPCA say you should keep your pets inside when the weather turns cold. If dogs are outside during the daytime, they should have an appropriate shelter lifted off of the ground so they can stay warmer. You want to give pets that spend a lot of time outdoors more food because keeping warm depletes their energy. You want to use plastic food and water bowls because your pet's tongue can actually stick and freeze to the metal. Put a water-resistant coat on your dog when it's outside or a sweater when going for walks, and watch out for hazards like rock salt and other chemicals that are used to melt snow and ice, as well as antifreeze. Those can be dangerous if ingested by your pet. Now, as the even colder weather moves in ahead of Christmas, remember you can track the temperatures with the most accurate weather team here in the Triad. It's all in the free WFMY News 2 app. WFMY News 2 at 6 is coming up next.